Yours got a fake chain, so what you do with it? You ride around with funk flex on your chest. I'm a draft pick, so I got the best on my chest. Different color diamonds match the different colors on my feet. Custom stitching on the side, draft star, go to feet. That's me, PZ. Think you motherfuckers know about it. I be smoking good while you faking steady stay without it. Check my footwork, yup, this is how I do. I ain't even got the uptime to see through. Wipe me down, bitch, everything's new. From the shoulders, chest, hands to the shoes, to the shoes. Take my beat, 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 take my beat.
PG. In a world full of mundane podcasts, one show rises from the ashes. Critics are calling it outrageous. Podcasts, as we know it, will never be the same again.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Welcome to the show.
Tonight, prepare for an epic journey where every step could be your last. The destination, a place where no maps can show. The mission, to rise above the rest. The danger, unimaginable. The reward, a shit ton of weed and laughs. It's going to blow your mind. This is 2 Bloods. So sit back, turn up the volume, grab your weed, get ready to light those bloods.
That's right. You are tuned into the highest podcast around. It is 2B Blunt, brought to you by 2B Blunt Productions and the Haze Radio Network. Tonight we are powered by Rexy fucking Meds. You already know the logo. My man Rexy. We got a little salad going on that I put in this King Palm, loaded right up in this bitch. So, I'm ready to fucking smoke. And you already know that. Shout out Willy World. He's going to be on later in the show. That's right. We have a huge guest coming from the other side of the globe, 16 hours ahead in time zone. He is known as Australia's king of cannabis. He is Will Stolk, live, joining us here in just a little bit. You don't want to miss this. My man has made headlines. He's been featured in Maxim Magazine. He was in a huge spread last month, January, High Times Magazine edition. He has been for years doing elaborate stunts in Australia to bring awareness to legalization for cannabis. The most recent was projecting images of cannabis on the legendary Sydney Opera House. He's been out on bail for 2 years. Just yesterday, I believe, they were cleared and dropped the charges. So this is his first fresh appearance right here live on 2B Blood. I am hyped, in case you couldn't tell. Shout out to the Instagram. H-Nana just joined up in the house. Facebook user, I don't know who you are, but what up? Troy up in the house. Jay Jordan in the house. Facebook user, I don't know who the fuck you are, but you got to go to StreamYard.com. StreamYard.com/Facebook right here. Put this in your address bar so you can give StreamYard permission to show your name, because I don't know who the fuck you is. Can of con up in this bitch. Yo, I'm sorry. I'm like over the top hype right now. I'm just hyped tonight. I got all my shit. I got my fucking weed rolled up. I got some lighters. I'm about to get lit. Before I do get lit, I want to give a big shout out to the homies in the Facebook group, The Raw Corner. The Raw Corner. They hooked it up, yo. Dead ass. I had won a little, what do you want to call it, a raffle, I guess? I won a raffle from them, but yo, they sent me mad shit. Mad shit. So, big shout out to the homies at the Raw Corner. I got this fucking the 6-shooter, the Raw 6-shooter. So I'm gonna be using this sumbitch for sure. I got, oh man, so many things of Raw. I got the High Times Raw edition papers. I got more papers. I got the black. I got the gold. I got the regular. I got the tips. I even got some fucking cottonmouth killers, which you know damn well I need that shit. I need this. By the time I get off the show, my mouth's so fucking dry, I'm like in the Sahara fucking desert. That's like the outback of Australia up in this bitch. Just fucking dry as fuck. Cole in the house, my man Cole, what up, brother? I love you. I hope you good, man. I'm sorry I missed Mr. Timber this week. These kids are crazy. AJ, we got Adam Wall, who won the last raffle. What up, Adam, up in the house? Take that sip, fam. That sip. You mean that light? We gotta light this bitch. I gotta do one thing. One thing I gotta do right now, real quick, is I just gotta shut the fuck up and smoke some weed. Again, Facebook user, I don't know who the fuck you are, but go to StreamYard.com/Facebook so I can see your name. Otherwise, let me use my Christmas raw lighter I got from this raffle here. And grab your weed, grab your concentrates, your edibles, whatever you do to get to that next level, and get ready to smoke it if you got it. I got a salad, yo. I got purple ice water in here. I got blue sushi in here. I got fucking GTR in here. So, what up, Jason? What up, Dylan? Oh, it's Derek from the Raw Corner. Derek, go to the fucking site so I can see who the fuck you are, man. Voter Grows, what up? The Bearded Dabber says, what's up, Facebook? If you on Instagram, that's it. That's what I mean. What the fuck is a Facebook to you? I don't know. Goddamn. A good salad gets me hype, yo. A good salad gets me hype. Hopefully it's better than dabs. The dabs, y'all already know how the dabs go. Phone lines are open. 860-384-7110. That's 860-384-7110 if you want to call in. Say what up. Talk about whatever. In just a few minutes, we're going to have Will Stolk join us. It's fucking like 10:20 in the morning tomorrow there in Australia. Let me tell you, trying to coordinate that shit was no joke for stoners. He's like, what time is it there? I'm like, I don't know. What time is it at your spot? Which way do I go? It's hard. And yeah, I agree. Hit that like, hit that share button. Share the link with a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's going down. Like, follow, share, subscribe. This fucking weed, yo. This salad, I can already feel it in my eyeballs. Already can feel it in the eyeballs. What up, Kogo? Kogo in the house. It's been a fucking day, I'm not gonna lie. I spent the last 2 days snowed in my house, yo. We went, these weathermen. I never knew a fucking oh shit. Of course we'd get in the comments. All right. To be blunt, what's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Jason, the dude from the one that made the oil. Sorry, I'm getting feedback.
You're getting feedback?
Oh. Yeah, I hear my voice.
Oh, that's a first.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just work through it.
We're going to have to work through it.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Because otherwise we're going to have problems.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. So what's going on?
Nothing much, just drinking my tea. Yeah, it's got me stoned.
You got some tea that got you stoned, bro?
Pardon me?
You got some tea?
Yeah, well, the oil.
Oh, you're sipping that shit right now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn, yo, how's that going for you? Are you just drinking a plain? I know you're not drinking a liter of fucking like distillate or oil for fucking out of the jar right now.
No. I'm drinking it in tea. I put a little bit in tea.
Oh, okay. So you got a little dab in there.
More like a couple of grams.
Oh, damn. So you about to be floating.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm heavy. I've been.
Yeah, I'm just a heavy user. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. No worries, man.
Most people who watch this show, nonetheless, are heavy users. I mean, look at this group in the chat. I mean, come on. I just want to know when I'm going to get a jar from you. When do I get a jar?
Well, I don't know if I can send it through the States.
I mean, you could.
Well, it's because when you do the what's it called, the border crossing, like, or border crossing, or the mail.
Border crossing. Where the fuck are you from?
I'm from Quebec.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yeah,
Canadian, eh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, see, now that makes a little more sense as to why you couldn't send me the big jar of oil.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotta cross the fucking
they ask
border.
you what's in it. Well, in the mail, when you send it across the border, they ask. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I there was one time I ordered like a bunch of seeds from like Seeds Man online. This is fucking years ago, bro. Years ago.
Okay.
You know, so, and they're an overseas seed company and they ship out, to wherever. And I remember one day I got the message. I got a letter in the mail saying that the shit I got confiscated at the border by like Chinese fucking like the government or some shit, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm never doing that again.
No, one of my friends, he experimented with mushrooms, and he ordered something from the States.
Mushrooms?
And basically, it got taken at the border.
Oh shit!
But it rotted before they can identify. Yeah.
Oh, so he made out then. He didn't get in trouble.
No, but he was close.
How did they find out that the fucking shrooms rotted before it got to the border?
Well, it's because they had it in the storage.
Okay.
And they couldn't identify what it was. It was spores.
So it just did this what with that? The spores? They couldn't figure out what it was from?
They basically told them that it rotted before they can identify it.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's what you call a close call.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, listen, man, I really appreciate you joining the show, calling in from fucking Canada. We got Canada on the line. We got Australia ready to come in next. We're global. We're global in this show, if you haven't realized that yet.
Oh, yeah, man. No, Christina's the one that introduced me.
And where the fuck is Christina tonight?
I don't know.
That's supposed to be your boo thing. You're supposed to be in charge of that.
What?
I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but geez. I thought for sure that you would be, you guys would be in here together.
Well, I was talking to her earlier, but she's offline, I guess.
Well, it picked a really fucking shitty time to be offline. We got the fucking, it's time to go. We got the show.
No, that's it, man. That's why I was like, I saw it was live and I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I fucking love it, man. Listen, I love that you come in here the past couple of weeks. You've been hanging out. I love your big ass fucking jars of oil. You send me pictures of that. Shit's fucking great. Listen, I just appreciate you. I appreciate you hanging out with us every week on the show. You're fucking dope. And Tuck, we're seeing you. Thanks for putting you on.
Oh yeah, no, I'm happy to be introduced. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Well, listen, man, I'm gonna let you go. We're gonna take a quick break, so I'm gonna feed into that. And appreciate you calling in.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers. Don't go nowhere. To be blunt, when we come back, Australian legend, the king of cannabis out there, former pro skier, entrepreneur, my man, Will Stolk will be live right here in just a few moments. So make sure you got your weed, grab your blunts, relight that shit if you put it out. It's about to go down. Highest podcast around. To be blunt. I'm that stoner. Been that stoner, still that stoner. Yeah, will forever be that stoner. You already know. I'm the TikTok smoker, I'm a rapper, I'm a toker. I can burn a whole ounce, then complain that it be over. Can smoke a whole pound, even more when I be dying. I'm the get high rapper, someone give this dude the grind. What? King shit, only burning green shit. I'm killing every case, cause I know it don't mean shit. I will never stop making hits when I'm blasting. Man, I'm on the X Games mode, you ain't lasting. Ha, I'm a stoner, yeah. Smoking on the loudest, yeah. Rolling up the baddest, yeah. Acting silly, what's happening? Hey, what's happening? Bitch, I'm a stoner, yeah. Smoking on the loudest, yeah. Rolling up the baddest, yeah. Acting silly, what's happening? Hey, what's happening? Bitch, I'm a smoking and recording, but my lamp is all I'm showing. I keep my business private, so my stash ain't never showing. No beefing with you rappers really getting kind of boring. If it ain't about the clout, then you know I'm gonna ignore it. I'm the shit, ooh. I'm on the strong, I'm feeling lit. You smoking shit, ooh. I keep it real, keep the sack, you counterfeit, ooh. All the real smokers know that I'm a savage. Hey, you smoking Babbage. Hey, I'm a stoner, yeah. Smoking on the loudest, yeah. Rolling up the baddest, yeah. Acting silly, what's happening? Hey, what's happening? Bitch, I'm a stoner, yeah. Smoking on the loudest, yeah. Rolling up the baddest, yeah. Acting silly, what's happening? Hey, what's happening? Bitch, I'm a stoner.
It's more poppin' than your favorite trapper's telegram. It's To Be Blunt.
Blunt Podcast. I should say 2 Be Blunt Live because we're live right now. This ain't the podcast. We're live. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. What up, Eric? I'm in the house. Lucy Roman fucking made excuse me. This is Beyond Worldwide because I'm on Planet X. Make sure y'all share the fucking live stream out. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. It's the place to be each and every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the highest show around. It is 2B Blood, and we're about to get into the main event. He is, what we got here? Entrepreneur, activist, former pro skier, business owner, part of the Who Are We Hurting collective. We have the group. I mean, this is my man is doing it all. He's a jack of all trades. He's been featured in High Times Magazine just last month. Huge spread. Maxim Magazine Australia. When I asked him to send me pictures, for the flyer. I got a Google Drive full of shit that made this man look like the Hugh Hefner of cannabis. All right. How's that for an introduction? Let's not waste no fucking time. The Craze Collector, there it is. Boston Made Beats in house. Let's get it going. Will Stolk. Oh, I can see the top of your head. What's up, man?
G'day, buddy. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How you doing, bro?
I'm pretty good. I'm high and I'm dry. It's raining here, but I'm inside and I'm high and dry, so pretty good.
High and dry, that usually is not like a good thing. Like someone leaves you high and dry, it's usually not the best thing. In this case, a positive.
Yeah, it's definitely a positive. Definitely. How about yourself? You're obviously you're blunted at the moment.
I'm blunted. I'm getting to that level of where I need to be high. I'm definitely dry inside. So we're kind of on the same page. We're both high and dry. Today must be a day of celebration for you, right? I mean,
I just had a very good weekend of celebration. I just organized the big Valentine's Day for Maxim Magazine on Sunday last week. That was fantastic. The Candyman came, a whole bunch of celebrities, a lot of hot girls. That was a really good way to celebrate, even though I did organize the party and host it, which was a shitload of work, but it was worth it.
They had you organize and host that party?
Yeah. Well, I kind of made it happen myself, but yes, on last Friday we won our case. Alex Zammit and I, who is watching, shout out to the Craze Co, shout out to Miguel. We've been on bail for 22 months for projecting cannabis leaves on the Sydney Opera House, and we got the majority of our costs back from the Australian Police Force. Oh no, New South Wales Police Force. Pardon me, the state police. So yeah, we're pretty stoked. Pretty good weekend.
You work with Maxim Magazine, or they just hire you to do this shit? Like you working through your company to organize the event?
I own a creative agency called People Like Us, and one of my very good friends is the publisher of Maxim. Shout out to Michael. And so I work with Maxim a lot. Good people to work with.
That's fucking dope, man. You got it's a dope gig.
Yeah, and also work with some boys from your hood, Frank 151 Magazine from New York City. Shout out to Neil and all the homies there. We love that magazine. We work pretty closely with them. And yeah, we're worldwide.
Damn, yo.
It sounds.
You are like the man. You do everything. Is there anything you don't do? That's the real question.
How PG are we? Yeah, I definitely.
There's no filter here on this show.
Definitely, as my dad said, if you suck one dick, you get labeled for life. So I'm definitely going to get labeled with that. Thank God. You can call the 2B Blunt podcast, right?
Your father's like a fucking OG.
Yeah, my dad looks like Hulk Hogan, actually.
No fucking way.
Looks like a mix between Hulk Hogan and Donald Sutherland. If Donald Sutherland was a jacked out bikie, it would be my father.
If you have you got to send me a picture like later off the air. I got to see a picture of the Hulk Hogan. I got to see the resemblance myself. I'm a huge. I grew up, big fan of wrestling, so like I was all into that shit. I actually was a pro wrestler for a few years, like 6-7 years. I did that shit before I just realized that I got hurt way too fucking much. But like I love that shit. So if you're legit, I got to see this for myself.
Yeah, no, I'm totally legit. I'll send you a photo later, no problem.
Adam Wall says I wouldn't want to piss Dad off. He dropped that fucking light drop right on you.
Yeah, he's gonna suplex me or whatever the fucking
yeah, something like that.
He did Andre the Giant.
Dude, I mean, I just listen. Your laundry list of credibility is ridiculous. It's no wonder they call you the king of cannabis in Australia. Like that moniker is not just a gimmick. Like that's you.
It was Alec and I that got called the Kings of Cannabis, and that was an article that Rolling Stone and Maxim did. So we didn't put out. We're not like Arian. We didn't claim it ourselves. Someone else put us on that title, and hopefully, slowly but surely, we're rising to the throne. We're just getting started. We've been doing this for about 9 years now. Every year for the last 9 years, Alec and I have been doing a different kind of publicity stunt. And the first year we set up a fake cannabis hydroponic grow in the middle of the first year that we really did it. The year before that, we actually flew a giant sign with a bunch of helium balloons that said "Happy Birthday, Weed." And then the equivalent of our FAA came and because it was like 300 foot in the air in the flight path of the international airport in Sydney. So the police came and busted us. The next year we set up a fake hydroponic grow in the middle of one of Sydney's busiest streets near King's Cross. And we set up like all of the plants inside with all the hydro lights and a big sign that said, "Who are we hurting?" And we set it up and we had no idea what was going to happen. And then the next morning we rock up after we set it up at about 6 o'clock in the morning. We had about probably 10 phone calls from the landlord who we'd hired the shop front from for a month. And there was probably 8 cops and 6 news crews. So there was about 20 people waiting out the front of the thing on a Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. There's like 20 people gathered around just waiting for us to open the shop to see if they're actually real plants or not. So that was the beginning of what now is almost been a decade mission trying to change the perception and evolve the perception that people have in Australia and worldwide about also adult use recreational cannabis, medicinal cannabis, and then some of the pitfalls that have become upon medical cannabis users in Australia, which is the drug driving laws in Australia, which are really, really harsh. And if you get pulled over, I recently got pulled over for the influence of cannabis. I wasn't impaired. I had smoked in probably at least 24 hours. They did the swab test. I got arrested. I got locked up for about 2 hours. And then I'm now facing a criminal conviction and I won't be able to drive for about 3 to 6 months.
Yo, wait, so holy fuck. First off, I just got to swing it back because most of the people here who are watching are probably from the States or have never heard of being swabbed on the side of the road for weed. Like that, when did they start allowing that?
Well, we don't have a Bill of Rights in Australia, so there's all sorts of stuff that happens here that I don't necessarily agree with. That's why Alec and I and our crew, obviously the Who We Hurting Collective, have taken it upon ourselves to spend our own money and hundreds of thousands of dollars over our own money over the last 10 years or 9 years, and thousands of hours trying to change people's perception. And while we do get a lot of attention from it, and it is good for business on a personal note with entrepreneurial activities that we have, Alec, he has a drug prop cannabis business that he does for a lot of movies and a lot of big TV shows. So one of the stunts we did a few years ago, we put 100 fake cannabis plants all through Sydney. And then through that, Alec has now started a quite profitable drug prop business, which is he makes fake cocaine, fake weed plants, fake buds, all sorts of really production.
That's a real business? Like that's a real fucking thing you can do with fake drugs?
We'll get him on the podcast next, and you can do an individual episode with him. He's an interesting character.
We're
from different sides of Sydney. I come from the kind of the surfing kind of surf side, and he's from the west, which is a lot more hoodlum and graffiti and drill rap. And so we've kind of come together over the last 9 years. We've formed a brotherhood of sorts. And, slowly but surely we've been, making a big impact in the world, trying to change shit that we see as, rules and regulations that we Australia's a backward place, it's very beautiful, but, we're stuck at the bottom of the Pacific, down south, down under, as you Seppos or North Americans would call us. And, slowly but surely things are changing though.
Do you feel like you guys, because of your location geographically, that's the reason that you're so far behind? Like you're behind as far as like the culture of cannabis?
I think that is a major part of it. I think also the fact that we have a little bit of a draconian nanny state government that has a big impact. But yeah, probably like geographical isolation is probably a major part of that, to be honest with you. Having grown up and, being skiing so much overseas, I spent a lot of my life in California. I spent a lot of my life in Europe. So, I think a lot of that has to do with geographical location. And then also just Australia is known as a nanny state. We are progressing. We've had medicinal cannabis since 2016. It's reasonably easy to access, but, there are a lot of pitfalls that come with that. You don't have a huge selection. You get prescribed only a certain amount of strains. It's like 2 or 3 strains maximum. You're only allowed to get a certain amount. It's a lot better than it used to be, but it's not like I can, go walk into a dispensary like I can in California or Connecticut or New York or, Oregon or even in Canada, where you can have a wide range of options just like you can with alcohol. And that ideally is what I personally would like, is adult use recreational cannabis in Australia. I have toyed with the idea of moving back to America if things don't change, and that might still happen. It seems like America's kind of falling apart at the moment. But
needless
to say, exactly.
Damn, so I can't believe that you have the medical program. You only get like 3 strains to choose from. That's fucking ridiculous. That just goes to show you, like.
No, it's not 3 strains that you have the options of. It's what the doctor prescribes you for your ailment. So it's like they'll prescribe you a specific strain to help you with what your ailment is. So there's a wide range of strains that are available, but the doctor has the reasoning to give you what he or she thinks that you need.
That just blows my mind though, because here they're just like, all right, we're gonna prescribe you weed. Here's your card. You can have like 5 ounces a month. That's your allotment. Like that's it. Like I didn't realize that there's places where they're prescribing like specific strains for you. Like that's what you could have. That's so limiting. Like, you should be able to explore, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to medicine, what works for you and what doesn't.
100%.
And what are these doctors in Australia know? Are they studying cannabis down there like that? I highly doubt it.
To be honest with you, I'm not the person to comment on this. Obviously I smoke weed. I smoke weed recreationally. I am prescribed. But I'm not trying to be the voice of people's opinion. I'd rather an expert to be able to talk on that. Obviously I do know a fair bit about cannabis. But someone who's a doctor who actually knows a lot more about that medical system could probably comment a lot better on this subject. But, slowly it is changing, it is progressing, but it's not moving quick enough. We have people like our friend Jeremy Buckingham, who's a member of parliament for the New South Wales for the legalized cannabis party. He's pushing through a range of motions to change the drug driving laws for medicinal cannabis patients. Fiona Patton in Victoria, who's also a member of parliament in Victoria for the legalized cannabis party, which is Melbourne, like the southern state. I think there's another gentleman named Brian. Dr. Brian Walker, I think his last name is. He's a member of parliament for the legalized cannabis party. So things are changing. There is a bill in place at the moment at a federal level where David Shoebridge, who's a member for the Greens party, which is like our environmental party, they have a bill in to legalize recreational cannabis. I don't think that will go through. But even people talking about this, and the fact that it's becoming an election issue is why we started, I think we've made Alec and I and the people that we work with and the legalized cannabis party and all the Mardi Gras people years before have all contributed in making cannabis not as much of a taboo subject as it is now.
Right. That's a good direction to go. At least, but like I can see why you'd be thinking about moving back to America. Because honestly, when you told me earlier that you got pulled over and swabbed, I was just thinking about how much of an invasion of your privacy that is, especially as a prescribed patient. Like you should have some kind of protections against you for that. Like I understand you're not supposed to like drive obliviated, but if you got if you were heading smoke the 24 hour, let's be honest, like come on, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. It is what it is, though. You can't, it is what it is. Unfortunately, we did a campaign for about 6 months ago where we did some crowdfunding, and then we got a bunch of billboards all through Sydney that said "End evidence-free RBT." So hopefully I think we have made a pretty major positive impact. But there's a lot of different people that are having impact at the same time, and it's not just about us. It's about the movement. And it's about, having access to cannabis for everybody so they have freedom of choice to be able to do what makes them happy. Just like I want to go after a hard day of work, if I'm digging holes or I'm tree lopping or whatever other shitty job I've had over the last years, in between being a pro skier and yada, yada. I want to go and have a beer, but I have a choice of 20 different beers on tap at a good pub. I should be able to do that. If I want to smoke a blunt, or I want to smoke a bong, or I want to smoke some dabs, or I want some wax, I want some edibles, or I want some ice cream, or whatever it is that you guys have so much of in North America, like I want that option as well. Personally.
Hell yeah, you should have access. I think everybody should. I mean, obviously it's not the case right now, but like obviously everybody should have access to this kind of thing. It's almost ridiculous how widely accepted alcohol really is now. And I always thought I don't forget the word. I don't have a fucking brain fart here. Like the like the marijuana madness, the whole like propaganda shit they had going out back in the day, which ended up regulating, rescheduling cannabis to a Schedule 1 in the US. Like there was that whole phase where they were like pushing against it. Weed was crazy. Weed was going to make you nuts. Weed was going to make you drop out of school. And that's what happened. And then that's where the perception came from. I just hadn't realized the more I talked to people and like yourself, that like that kind of thing has pushed so many other places behind in the times. You know what I mean? That I didn't realize it was so worldwide and so global at the time. It felt so local, but it's like everywhere. Everybody has this perception of cannabis. So lucky for you, though, you found your first cannabis experience was what? Canada, right?
Yeah. When I was like probably 16, and then I was on a ski trip with a whole bunch of homies, and then we were on a ski trip with, I was like a summer camp. And so that was like my first experience. I smoked weed probably once before that, when I was like, probably like, maybe like 14. I went surfing when I was stoned for the first time when I was about 6 foot. That was pretty scary. And then I went to ski camp, and I met Whistler, obviously, BC buds, blah, 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 blah. Started smoking weed. We actually went to the block in Whistler and then went and got an eighth, and we sat it was on a rainy day at the High North hotel room, and in the hotel where all the High North campers were staying. And then we ended up fucking smoking it all through an apple bomb. And then my friend Stephen Thomas actually ate the apple, and somehow that's makes sense, but he was higher than I'd ever seen anybody in my entire life, and he had these little ratty dreadlocks, and I just remember him. He looked like a little weasel. And after that, and I met these kids that were Mormon kids, that were all little rich Mormon kids that were all mogul skiers, and they had this program where they lived in Park City, and they'd have this competition where over the year they'd try and get as many people to either smoke weed or drink a beer, and they had points for different people, a girl, blah, blah, blah. And for a Mormon, if you got a Mormon to smoke weed, it was 1,000. Fuck, sorry. And if you got a Mormon to smoke, it was 1,000. And at the end of the year, whoever had the most points, it added up, and then they'd get given an ounce of weed.
That sounds like a contest I'd want to be part of. That's a bet I'm in for. So then I guess the real question is, you got into all that, you were surfing, you were skiing. Why the fuck are you now a former pro skier? Where did that go from? How you were a pro and then you stopped? What pulled you off? Was it testing for drugs? Like, what was the whole thing that got you out of that?
I broke my back twice. My back twice, blew my knee out 3 times, had about 30 to 40 friends die. Yada yada yada. Just the joys of extreme sport. Unfortunately, it is what it is. When you do crazy shit, people die, and it was pretty gnarly. I had a few friends that died in competitions. Neil Villaton at the World Tour Finals in teen on the freeride tour. Billy Poole died off landing on some rocks after doing a big front flip off a cliff, and like Shane McConkey died base jumping, and like all sorts of people that I was directly or indirectly connected to.
That's wild.
A lot of different people died, and I moved on. Like obviously I didn't want to be 35 talking about how good I used to be.
Right. I can understand that. I can understand that. And then you've gone, but listen, I mean, as impressive as that is and how great of a story that is, look what you're doing now. Like, look at you now. You're making a name for yourself. You're putting your country on. You're making so many people aware of something that they didn't know about prior to that. And you're educating fucking people. You got the fucking podcast show, and now you got the cannabis companies too.
Yeah, we've got Pheno Hunts, Corey Zyler, and myself. We've got a cannabis dispensary in Lee Vining called Tioga Green. So if you ever visit Yosemite National Park or Mammoth Mountain, go check it out. It's in Lee Vining, and probably one of the most core dispensaries in California. We opened that about 3.5 years ago. And then we have a company called Pheno Hunts, where we take the exo Pheno Hunts of some of the best growers in the world, some people that have won a lot of cannabis cups that I'm not allowed to talk about. We take their exo Pheno Hunts and put it in a 1/2 ounce bag, and it's a mixed bag, like a Skittles bag of different strains of weed in the same 1/2 ounce. And then we have another brand called Zero to Hero. And then we have another CBD brand, which is based off a company here, which is it's called Byron Bay CBD. We're currently distributing in America, soon to be Europe. And then if we decide to distribute in Australia, that'll be coming soon.
How the fuck do you find the time to do all this? That's incredible drive.
And then wake up, and I don't run those companies. We've just invested in them, so other people are running them. But we are in the process this week of doing our first big money raise, and then the next phase will happen, and then that's kind of like stepping into the next phase of life, which is going to be really interesting, because it's been a long trip. You know what I mean? Like it's been the last 4 years have been a grind. Obviously with COVID, we weren't allowed to travel. Then we got done. Then we got put on bail. So it's been really interesting to kind of see what's what and how's everything going. It's a trip to look back on, especially all the oppression, not being able to. Now I can't drive, and I live out in the sticks, so it's been really frustrating not being able to drive. Being on bail for the first 3 months of my bail conditions, I wasn't allowed within 3 kilometers of the Sydney CBD. I had to sign in at the police station 3 times a week, and for almost a year under the basically organized crime rules that the New South Wales police have. For 11 months, we weren't allowed to communicate together unless it was through a lawyer.
Yo, wait a second. I didn't realize that the bail was that fuck. I thought you pay the bail and you chilling at that point. What the fuck? Signing in 3 times a fucking week, dude? On top of that,
I spoke to a lawyer friend of mine the other day, and she was asking me, she's in Queensland though, and she's asking me she asked me what my bail conditions were, and I was like, explain it to her, and she was disgusted. She's like, most rapists and people that get done for manslaughter don't have to sign in 3 times a week.
Yeah, and here you are off nothing, and here you get You didn't cause no harm. You didn't do no harm. You didn't hurt nobody. So you projected a couple images on a couple landmarks. I mean, big fucking deal. It took 2 years for them to figure out it wasn't a big deal.
Well, they just tried it. The New South Wales Police Force and our mate Gaza, who's the head of protest for the New South Wales Police Force.
Okay.
They don't take kindly to protest, and we're potentially working on a Netflix documentary that might come out sooner or later. Who knows? It's not all signed off at the moment. We are in talks with some people at some of those big streaming platforms to do a documentary about our journey and about protesting and the right to protest in Australia. So that'll be really interesting. There's a lot of thought-provoking things that are happening, but they really like to make an example of people, whether it's the Blockade Australia people, the people that block the roads and stuff for climate change. And, that stuff's a little bit different because, you're interrupting the flow of society. And right. I understand that pisses people off. Us personally, we would never do anything to piss people off, right? We try to do it it's called Australian larrikinism, like Paul Hogan from Crocodile Dundee,
right.
Steve Owen, like many, what's his name? What's the fucking comedian's name? Blah, 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 So we don't take ourselves too seriously. We try to do things that have a little bit of satire attached to them, that make big impact, but then don't leave a lasting effect, because we don't want to piss off people. We don't want to interrupt their flow driving to work or yada, yada, yada. And so that's everything that we've done has had some kind of little bit of a comedic edge to it. So people laugh at it and they kind of makes them start talking about things. Oh, you remember that, and that's part of what, why I think people like us, is because we're not fucking with the society as some of the other protesters tend to do, Right.
So, you're not on a highway or anything like that. Like, you're out there, it's almost like you're just sending a message, you're just sending the message. Everything you do, it's just like, it's a simple message. You don't, and that's what I love about it. And I love this, the way and the creativity that you guys that go into these stunts you put on. But now here we are, you're out on bail, you're done, the case is dropped. The fucking question is, what's next now, bro?
We're fucking stoked. We had a little party at the Sydney Opera Bar, which was right where the crime scene was, on Friday afternoon, with a few journalists and a few other people that have helped us out over the last 2 years, our lawyers and stuff like that. So shout out to Sydney criminal lawyers. They've done a great job. Basically, next is we're going to do another stunt for April. We got something pretty epic planned that I can't talk about. Potentially the Netflix documentary. We've got a couple of other outside of the box publicity stunts that we're going to do in the more mainstream sense. And then other than that, just kind of keep spreading the message, keep working with the legalized cannabis party to change the drug driving laws. There's actually potentially a bill going through in New South Wales. There's another one that's I think in the works of actually potentially coming to fruition really soon in Victoria. After that, we'll work on the other states. In Australia, it's a bit of a kind of like little steps towards the bigger goal of like fully legalized recreational adult use cannabis. That would be the ultimate goal, with a thriving market that is taxed for the people, so that those taxes go towards things that we need, like new roads, hospitals, programs for addicted people to harder drugs, and all these things are really important, especially in a post-COVID economy where inflation's going up, the price of living's going up. Like, people want to smoke weed to escape. They want to be able to have the freedom to be able to do what they want to do. And
absolutely,
we feel that we have a talent for making things happen. Alex Craze is a very creative guy, and I'm pretty good on the press side, and we form this unusual kind of conundrum of awesomeness, I guess it is.
That is pretty awesome.
We're definitely a motley crew, that's for sure.
I love it. I love it. I see it. I see the videos. I see how y'all interact and shit. I watched a lot of the stuff when I was researching, because I mean, you when you hit me up, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? And I started looking, I was like, holy fuck, this guy's a fucking legend. And then I can go on YouTube and there's a million fucking videos of you. And I'm like, wow, you, your crew, everything. This fucking dope. You guys are killing it out there.
And it's interesting. We're now starting to get worldwide traction, so it's going to be interesting to see where we end up going. We've had a reach out from HBO about making a reality show. Who knows how realistic that is or not? But really, at the end of the day, it is awesome for us. As you know, we do have attention-seeking personalities. We do love, like making things happen and doing cool stuff. But at the end of the day, really why we do it and why we went on bail and why we go up against the fucking the powers that be is because we truly feel that we're getting a blunt end stick, because we feel like we're getting reamed, because we want our freedom, just like you guys have got it, just like Canadians have got it, just like Germany might soon have it, just like the Dutch have had it for years. I just want to be able to go down the road and buy some good weed and smoke the weed, and I'm not hurting it. As the monarchy, is that the word for it? Says it's who are we hurting, And really, we've put all this effort and energy into it. We do get some personal satisfaction out of it. We do get attention, but at the end of the day, the major reason that we do it is because we feel that we want change.
Exactly. I can totally relate to that, because I feel like it's one of the reasons why I do this show, is because I want people to have a different perception of cannabis. And they gotta understand, even in the US, we have maybe, 13, 14 states or whatever, I don't fuck whatever it is, that are legal right now with rec, but there's still people who don't get it, like that have this perception. It's skewed, it's outdated, it's not what it is anymore. And if anything, like, I don't know how I would go through life right now sane without cannabis.
Actually pretty backward too, like, just to give you an example, like when my business partner Corey Zyler went to go to pay for our cannabis control certificate from Sacramento, from the Cannabis Control Board of California, he had to take $56,000 in cash to be able to pay for that. He's lost six or seven bank accounts. You can't write off any of your taxes, which makes it very difficult to have a profitable cannabis company. You can't ship between state lines. You can't federally export any kind of hemp-related CBD products. So, America's still got quite a ways to go with the way that the infrastructure is set up. Because if you had a national body that kind of monitored and a national plan for recreational cannabis, and then each state decided on what they wanted, whether they wanted to choose to be able to be a member of that or not, you'd have such a more thriving market, and all of these cannabis companies would be worth so much more money, and they would be profitable, and that would be more tax for the taxpayer for all of the infrastructure that is needed, helping the homeless, helping people with the programs for addicted drugs, money for roads and infrastructure, hospitals, schools, et cetera, as you've seen in Colorado, as you've seen in Oregon. But there have been, these drug decriminalization rollouts have been both positive and negative. And if you look in, and again, I'm not trying to comment on the policy of certain states, as I'm not a medical professional or a psychiatrist, but from the outside in, them trying to legalize all drugs, in principle, it's a great idea. I don't think you should go to jail for cocaine. I think it's caused, especially in people of color and of minorities in your country, it's the prison population per capita is just astronomically favored towards through black people, and that's probably because of more socioeconomics, I think. But like, if you want progressive change, say in Oregon or Washington, you have to have an infrastructure to be able to look after the mental patients that come with the ramifications of legalization. So you have to have a program in place where people have the ability to be able to go to a free healthcare service to be able to get help with their addictions, whether it's cocaine or meth or whatever the fuck it is. And the problem with America is is because you guys are so anti-socialist, which I kind of agree with and I don't agree with, because we have a kind of a mix of a socialist system in Australia. We have a little bit of a, if you fall off the rat wheel here, you kind of have a did you disappear? Are you still there? Yes.
No, you're still here. I see you.
Every, you know, like in Australia, we have a system to kind of help people if they fall off the rat wheel. Whereas in America, with the trumped up capitalism, you know, if someone falls off the rat wheel, you know, a lot of the time they end up homeless. And that's what's happened in Skid Row. That's what's happened in Santa Monica. That's what's happened in New York, is that people have lost their jobs because of COVID. And then now they can't, and then they get addicted to drugs because they've got this big plight on their shoulders. And they just keep getting high on meth or heroin or whatever the fuck it is. And there's no program to help them to fix that. So if you are going to have a system that goes towards drug legalization, you have to have an accompanying system to propagate out there into the universe to micromanage the ramifications of the actions that you're about to partake in. Does that make sense?
I hear you. It does make sense. But the thing is like, I feel like it takes so much to get to that point, and we've already started off on the wrong foot. You know what I mean? That's the problem. It's already off the wrong foot. I feel like the fact that you had the federal that just right off the rip says it's Schedule 1, it's the worst, like you can't do it. But then you have let the states say yes, and there's such a conflict there between the federal and the state. It's never gonna be right. It's never gonna work as far as I'm concerned. It's got to be all or nothing. Like you got to be able, like you said, I liked your idea when you said it first, coming out with here's the membership, here's what we're gonna do. If you want to be part of it, cool. If not, fine. But at least everyone's on the same fucking page. But we're not.
Yeah, 100%. It is, and it, you know, like that. You know, it is awesome. It is fantastic. You can partake in a legal recreational system in, you know, I think it's 18 states now. Maybe it's 14, as you just said. I think it's 18 now. But you know, like I said, it's extremely expensive. And, you know, you need to be able to write off your taxes to be able to have a profitable business. Just because I own a cannabis business doesn't mean I should be treated any differently than everybody else. And the fact that the California taxes are so fucking exorbitant on cannabis sales is already one massive hurdle. Then you got the fact that you can't bank your money. Right. Second, you can't have credit cards. All this fucking but the biggest problem is not being able to write off your expenses as every other business can. You know, that's really, really important.
That's totally fucked. That's totally fucked.
Totally fucked.
Oh, if I couldn't write off my expenses at the end of the year, I'd be fucking broke.
There is a gentleman who you're probably aware of, not the Beard Bros guy. He's a very outspoken. He keeps getting his place. I have to look it on Instagram. But apparently, there's a group action at the moment in California to sue the Californian state government because in the original mandate to legalize recreational cannabis, propositions, whatever the fuck it was, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
One of the ordinances in that legislation was that the reason that we're doing this is to cull the illicit market. But that's not happening. So most of these cultivators, they're growing 20 pounds, putting 5 or 10 on the record, and then the other rest of it's going shipped out to Missouri or Iowa or whatever state that, you know, the price of a pound's, you know, still $2.6, whatever the fuck it is, right? Because that's how they can have a sustainable business. The Californian and federal government have made it so difficult for them to exist and have a profitable business in the ecosystem that's created for them, financial ecosystem, that they're forced to take, you know, precautionary measures to keep what they have in place profitable. And that wasn't the original reasoning of legalizing recreational cannabis, was to take the money out of the organized crime hands. And there's still a massive amount of, you know, cartels that are growing, you know, huge pot grows out in the middle of the San Bernardino Mountains, and people are finding them and they're getting killed. And, you know, all this stuff is going, all this money, you know, that's the ramifications of not having a federal system to be able to have order. You have to have order. It's very important, in my opinion.
No, I agree. So, I mean, if everyone was on the same page, there would be that order. But right now, there's not. There's too much up in the fucking air. It's fucking bullshit. So it's fucking nuts. But let's lighten it up the subject a little bit. Just a couple questions in the comments I want to get to. If y'all want to call into 860-384-7110, that's 860-384-7110. Feel free to call in if you got a question for Will here. First one what came in was what's the mushroom situation out there?
Apparently they're slowly starting. I actually have I have mushrooms that grow right here. I'm probably going mushroom picking tomorrow if it's hot.
Fucking
kilos of gold. But they're slowly working towards psilocybin legalization, I think.
That would be dope.
Well, actually, they just legalized it medically.
Yep.
So they've legalized psilocybin, they've legalized MDMA, and they've legalized ketamine, but they're only in hero doses, and it has to be administered by a psychiatrist. And it costs $20,000. A hero dose is a dosage that causes like some kind of like psychosis of some extreme amount.
Okay.
So that way you get over your PTSD or whatever the fuck it is. So it's administered by a psychiatrist, and it costs about $20,000 to be able to do it, which is a lot of money, but it's still a step in the right direction, which is like Australia's baby steps. Like we have a very nanny government. They're not just going to do something extreme and just go like, oh, now we've legalized cannabis, now we've decriminalized. But there is a state in Australia. Recently, Alec and I made a documentary, the ACT, Australian Capital Territory, which is the equivalent of Washington, D.C. In the early 19th century or late 19th century, they couldn't decide on whether Melbourne or Sydney was going to be the capital. So they created a new city, which is called Canberra. And the Australian Territory is the state that city is in. It's got a population of about 400,000 people, but they decriminalized cannabis 3 years ago. You're allowed to grow, I think it's 3 plants per household. They've recently now decriminalized all drugs, but they then have a system to be able to, that if you get caught with those drugs, they'll get confiscated. If you get caught again, you have to go to a rehab center, which is paid for by the government. And that's a system similar to what I'm talking about. They should have, or they tried to have in Oregon and Washington, but they're not policing that to be able to make sure that the infrastructure is policed so that you get the outcomes that you're trying to achieve with the mandates and the laws that you create. Same with California. If you're going to try and create these recreational cannabis laws, you should be stifling the illicit market.
I agree completely, 100%. Let's take our call. To Blunt, what's your name? Where you calling from?
BZ, what up? It's Troy.
What's up, Troy? You got a question for my man Will?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he just answered it actually because I heard talking about what the provinces of decriminalize all drugs. But yeah, I was really curious about the mushroom situation out there.
So they've legalized psilocybin in hero doses, as I just mentioned, but that has to be administered by a psychiatrist. I have heard inklings that there are, people wanting to be able to decriminalize and recreationally legalize psilocybin, but again, that's only just hearsay that I hear on the, through the echoes of people talking. You know what I mean? So you'd have to ask somebody a little bit more in tune with that. I could probably link you up with a friend of mine who is actually a minister of parliament, who's for the legalized cannabis party. He'd love to come on your show, and he could probably talk in more detail about policy and the future policy of, what each government wants to do. Because a lot of it, drugs are a lot more, they're kind of state level for similar to America. So, but then you can have a succeeding federal ruling on progressive things like legalizing psilocybin.
Gotcha. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Cool, man. Thanks for calling in, Troy.
Hey, appreciate you. Peace.
Of course. And feel free to call in 860-384-7110. That's 860-384-7110. I know you were talking about you were growing mushrooms outside. I got to ask, what's the situation out there like for growing weed? Like, is it good climate for that? Is the dirt good out there?
Where I live is like kind of subtropical. There's a very big grow belt out the back here called Nimbin, where they have the Mardi Gras. It's kind of like the Bohemian capital of Australia. They hosted the Aquarius Festival, I think, in 1974 or 76, something like that. I can't remember the date. And that ended up becoming like the hippie movement of Australia. So yeah, there's a lot of weed growing out in the hills out there for sure.
So you guys can grow some bomb weed out in Australia? That's fucking dope.
Yeah, there's some good weed. The consistency is not really there. But slowly but surely, you know, say 10 years ago, if you talked about strain names and glass bongs, people would kind of look at you funny. Because in Australia, we have the culture here is we have a chop bowl. We have a chop bowl, and then most people mix with tobacco, and then they smoke their bowl.
No.
So I don't smoke with tobacco, but
Hell
they smoke
no.
their little chop bowl, and a lot of that is because, you know, cannabis was so expensive because, you know, it was so criminalized. So a lot of the Australian stoner culture, in my opinion, is one because of isolation, geographical isolation, and two is because of the criminality associated with it. You know, it was difficult to get, it's expensive, but there's definitely a thriving cannabis culture here. Every year we have the massive Mardi Gras, which is a big festival in Nimbin. They've been doing that for years. The legalized cannabis party, formerly the hemp party, Michael Balderston, and all the what are they called? The hemp homies. What the fuck's the place called? Anyways, I can't remember it off the top of my head. They've got you know, there's a town out there where you can basically go and buy weed, and it's tolerated by the cops. So yeah, there's another big grow belt out there here called Bellingen. There's a lot of weed that grows there, and then South Australia probably has the best weed in Australia, I think. Alec and I recently did a couple of videos where we walked around and we asked random people, and we used a THC tester, and we tested their buds to test for their CBD content. Shout out to Drew is sharing. He's a cannabis activist and cannabis YouTuber from the UK who originally gave us the idea to do that. So check out the Craze Co. YouTube to be able to check out some of those documentaries and some of the THC testing videos, which Alec and Miguel are going to be filming all around Australia. I co-hosted a couple of those, but I've got a couple of other things in the works at the moment, so I don't necessarily have the time to be able to pursue that with those guys. But it's really interesting to see the difference between the medical bud and the street bud. Because Australia is a little bit isolated, it is difficult to get consistent cannabis on the illicit market. It is better than it is. A lot of people just call it Cali shit, which is the same as they do in the UK. So a lot of our stoner culture would be very amusing to Americans because we're socially ostracized and we don't have as much exposure as what you guys do. That's a very layman. I don't want to be nitpicky and be rude to anybody. But to be honest with you, it's because of social isolation. A lot of it's to do with social isolation, and a lot of it's to do with criminalization. But slowly but surely, things are changing. Medical has helped that a lot. Now there's people talk about strain names. People have volcanoes. People have edibles. Magical butter. They're doing a big impact with people making their own edibles at home. Like all sorts of stuff like that. So the society and the stoner culture is slowly progressing into the 21st century in major leaps and bounds. We're still probably 10 to 15 years behind, though. I'm
never gonna get over the fact that y'all call it Cali shit. Like that's funny to me.
100%. I think it's funny too. And in England, it's a really big thing. And if you check out Drew is sharing, who's probably the biggest YouTuber in cannabis in the not a North American world. He calls it the Cali shit, mate. It's like, so it is what it is. And if you've never been to California, you've never been exposed to it, you don't really know any better. But there are people, there's people selling strains on the black market for like $450, $500 an ounce. So
I'm not paying that kind of price for an ounce.
I'm not personally. No.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
But like people, but it's good. Whatever it is, people pay it. It's good for the culture because it's moving forward. We're progressing into the 21st century. We're slowly catching up. People are having options. People are getting better strains of weed. People are getting access to medical. People are starting to grow their own. People are starting to bake their own, edibles and make gummies with the magical butter machines and, like all this kind of stuff 15 years ago. It would have existed, but in a very, very small niche of people. And I'm talking probably people, you know what I mean? So now that it's like become mainstream and slowly but surely we're moving towards what you guys have is really, it is progressive. So at the end of the day, that is a good thing in my opinion.
I agree. As long as they're pushing things forward, that's all that matters. Listen to the last call that called in. My bad. Listen, if you guys call in and someone asks a question and my man's answering here, I'm gonna put you on mute. I can't really stop the show to be like, hey, hold on a second. And so just wait until I say, what's your name, where you call from, and then I'll let you on from there. But otherwise, I can't. I don't have a fancy call machine to take multiple calls at once, so I can only put the next one on hold. So unfortunately, my bad. But if you want to call back in, feel free. 860-384-7110. We are live with Will Stolk, one of the kings of cannabis out in Australia, Sydney. And we today's show I finally learned what a zip was. Donna, there's no way, Donna, you just learned that a zip was an ounce today.
Well, that's like I said, a lot of people aren't exposed to the stoner culture that you've grown up with. So, like what's taboo to you and normal to certain people, they just haven't had the exposure to it. I know so much about stoner culture because my mom gave me a Cheech and Chong video when I was probably like 11 years old. And then slowly but surely, moving to Canada and spending a lot of time in North America, I got exposed to weed culture and it became a part of my identity. But when I came back to Australia, a lot of the time I'd laugh at people and people would think I was an arrogant prick because I thought I knew so much more. But then people here were so clueless. But it's not their fault. It's just because we live in the middle of nowhere here, and a lot of the culture doesn't seep down this far south. A lot of stuff does. We have certain cultures here that you got more progressive EDM scene. We have more progressive certain music things. It just depends on where, who, how, what. And it's the same in the UK as well, and it's the same in Europe. Obviously, Holland's a little bit different because of the the tolerated cannabis coffee shops for years. But in general, North America has always been the leader of stoner culture. But that's because you guys have the population and because America, and namely California, is kind of the cultural center of Western society.
Right, exactly. Even though before, like we were getting it on, it was like the Dutch. You go to like everyone, if you wanted to get it, you wanted to have that experience, you would go to Amsterdam. You know what I mean? Like that was the location when I was coming up. Like that was you going to Amsterdam? Yeah. I get the passport.
Dutch passport, mate. I got a Dutch passport.
You get the Dutch passport. Two people. What's your name? Where you calling from?
If you ain't Dutch, you ain't much.
The crippled cannabis cowboy.
The crippled cannabis cowboy. Adam, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm okay right now.
Oh, good. Sound like you're doing pretty good.
G'day, Adam. How you going, mate?
Hey, what's up?
Just chilling.
Hey, I have an oddball question. I'm actually in an event over here in the States, and it's cannabis related, that kind of stuff. How long do you think that will take for like Australia? Do you have casinos over there, and like, can it start in another avenue?
We have casinos here. Are you talking about how long it'll take before we have recreational legalized cannabis? Is that what you're asking me? How long I think?
Yes, kind of like a start, kind of like what you were talking about.
Probably, I reckon we'll have decriminalization within 5 years. Full legalization, I can't really comment on that because I'm a little bit of a pessimist towards that. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but maybe within the next 5 to 10 years. Some people are saying within 2 to 3 years. I don't see that happening because of because of nitpicky governments and stuff like that. I think you kind of flip a coin and see what it lands on, really.
Wow,
but it is progressing, and cannabis is not nearly as taboo as it used to be.
Yeah, it isn't over here. I mean, shit. Well, my parents still hate it, but I don't know. Hey,
I think also what he was asking
that question
was if you guys had the cannabis events out in Australia. Like he's talking about, I guess they have like
correct.
Yes. Do you have like events out there for trade shows? Not a trade show because there's not legalized, but any kind of like cannabis related events that you guys have out there? Because like we have them all over all the time.
We have the Hemp Health and Innovation Expo, the HHI. We've been working with them for many years. That's more of an industry trade show that also does encompass a little bit of recreational cannabis. Certain bong shops have stalls there. It's they probably get maybe 5,000 to 8,000 people through on a weekend, which is maybe 10,000 on a really good show. So there has been other shows. There's the big Mardi Gras, which is in Nimbin every year, which is a big weed festival. That's to celebrate the harvest and celebrate the potential of legalizing in Australia. So there is definitely some stuff, but there definitely needs to be more action done to be able to make things happen. But like I said, Australia is a very expensive place, so making things like that happen, it's very difficult to get sponsors because a lot of the pharmacies and the doctors that are prescribing medical cannabis, they're not allowed to advertise. So it's very difficult for them to be able to put in money to contribute because they'll get fined by the Therapeutics Goods Association, which is the TGA, which monitors all drug sales in Australia. So I have a lot of different friends in cannabis companies here in Australia that have been fined a lot of money for trying to advertise plant medicine or whatever the fuck it is that they're calling it. And, so again, oppressive government, but, things are changing. There are members of parliament now that are, part of the legalized cannabis party. The Greens are pushing for it. Even some of the mainstream parties are starting to recognize that this could be an electoral issue that could, help them stay in power. And at the end of the day, politicians really only give a fuck about making money and, staying in power. There are certain exceptions to that rule, but in general, that seems to be, the major thing for them.
It sounds like we're just a few steps ahead here. The people that have the events have to be careful because they could be raided.
Is that in Kansas? Is it?
I'm in Connecticut, USA.
Okay.
So like
okay, so so you're both in Connecticut. Yeah, I've been to Connecticut many, many years ago. So Connecticut's not legal, is that correct?
No.
It is actually.
Yeah, we just went rec a couple of years ago.
So why would there be any issues with having an event in Connecticut if recreational cannabis is legal?
We don't know. It's happening though.
What's happening is what he's getting at is that there's like what it is they have they throw these events where there's like a bunch of vendors, people, growers and whatnot, and you can walk in and you can shop around pretty much. It's like it's a black market weed show. You know what I mean? You walk in, there's like maybe 20 vendors, whatever. You can walk around, buy your shit, leave, whatever, do what you got to do. But of course, the state doesn't like that because the state has no control over that. So they try to shut these events down because they're not getting the money that's going in someone else's pocket. You know what I mean? So they're trying to funnel everybody into the dispensaries.
Well, which is 100%.
I got
Again,
you.
Like difficult. There's a balancing point. Who is the person that is meant to be the governing body to be able to help push forward that kind of legislation to be able to have a unified federal system where everybody can follow that course.
Well, I am in a unique boat because I'm severely disabled, and the only thing that helps is cannabis. So it's weird being in that boat.
Interesting. I hope does cannabis help you a lot with your ailments?
It does. I also grow it for myself, and there's that whole terpene thing, and pick the right kind.
so it's taken a little while. I did know it's actually on my medication list. It's kind of like step by step, like you said, just a little bit here, a little bit there. 10 years ago, this shit was impossible. Now my own doctor asks me about cannabis all the time. Every doctor visit, actually.
Amazing.
Damn. Well, listen, man, appreciate you calling in. You got a unique situation, don't you?
I do. Yeah. So I will fill y'all in.
Well, good luck on the event. That's what your event's next weekend, right?
It is.
Well, good luck on that.
Hey, I love this show. You actually answer a lot of questions for me that I had about what's going on in the world.
I know. I'm glad I can help you.
Change. It's happening. But awesome, man. I will talk to you, PZ. Obviously, I'll be watching. This rocks. Good luck to you, man.
Good luck. Thanks, man. Take one last question. There was someone asked, they said, have you ever smoked with Cheech and Chong, taking it full circle? ?
I haven't met. Tommy Chong gave us a shout out a couple of years ago. I've smoked with Snoop before. We did his after party here, and I also produce and direct music videos. So I've done stuff for Tiger, for Bliss Nesso, for Sean Kingston, for a bunch of Aussie artists, and then I also help out with promoting and organizing events and after parties for big people. So last year we did Snoop Dogg, we did Nelly, we did helped out with Lady Gaga. But anyways, I did get to meet Snoop. I've interviewed him a few years ago when I used to run a magazine. So I got to smoke with him very briefly. But no, I'd like, Snoop, if there was a Mount Rushmore of people I'd love to puff a doobie with that are still alive, I did get to smoke with Be Real. That was cool. He was a cool dude.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy, man. He's a super, and he gave us a shout out, and we'd love to do something with them. They've been probably even more activists than Snoop has, and pretty much than anybody other than Cheech and Chong. They were the first people Cypress Hill were the first people that had weed in their video clips. They were stoners. They were basically writing songs about legalization 30 fucking years ago when I was 5 years old. So those guys are the OGs. But my Mount Rushmore would probably be Willie Nelson, Snoop. If this is one session that we're partaking in, Willie Nelson, Snoop, Be Real, probably Method Man, and then who else did I put on that list? That's a fucking interesting one. Oh, probably some really hot model probably some Victoria's Secret model that smokes weed. I'd have to run the little query on which Victoria's Secret model secret we were with.
It's a solid lineup, I would say. Listen, man, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been such an awesome time hanging out with you. Thank you for your time. We went a little late, but you know what? It was fucking dope, man. You killed it. You are literally a legend. I think everybody in the chat agrees. You've literally done it all.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Shout out to the world. Thanks very much for people like yourself that have. Shout out to Haze TV. Andrew, I think his name is. Shout out to everybody that contributing to the culture. Who are we hurting? We really want we want a one world. We want everybody to have access to cannabis. It is the God plant. And at the end of the day, egos aside, whether it's show business or cannabis business, we're all here. We're all going to die. We're all going to pay taxes. And hopefully every person on earth gets to at least smoke a joint once to try whether they like it or not. And they should have the freedom to be able to do that. And at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to advocate for, is that who are we hurting? And basically we just want our God-given right to be able to, consume and purchase and not get vindicated for it.
Hell yeah. You know what? You keep fighting that fight, man, because you're making a difference. You're making a fucking difference. It's very obvious that you have the passion and the drive for this shit, and you keep grinding, and it's gonna be huge, man. It's gonna be huge, the return. I'm telling you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate all the help and feedback. Check us out. Watch us on 420. Go check out the January issue of High Times Magazine. Follow the Craze Co on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, Willy's World 69, Willy's World Podcast. And shout out to all the homies. And thank you very much to the To Be Blunted podcast and to Haze TV and everybody out there that's making a difference, that's contributed to the progressive legalization and progressive thought and sentiment of the mainstream views on cannabis, whether it be recreational or medical. You know, all the thousands and thousands and thousands of people from Normal, Mark Emery, all these people in history that have built the, on these shoulders of giants, we raise and try to look further into the future.
Oh, yeah, man. Well said. Well said. I appreciate you. Have the good rest of your day. Thank you so much for everything you do. We'll talk soon, brother.
Peace, my friend. Thank you.
To Be Blunt. I gotta get out of here. I got the munchies like a motherfucker. For sure. I had that dab like 3/4 of the way in and it just set me off. But next week, live in studio, I got the guest Bobby Nuggs gonna be here. 5-time award winner, activist, event planner. He's in charge of the roll-up, Hexpo, interpretation. The lineup goes on and on and on and on. It goes on. He's going to be live right here in studio. It's going to be fucking dope. Make sure you guys stay tuned in. I love you all for hanging out with me. Sorry we started late, but we finished it first, baby. You already know. Highest podcast around. Like, love, subscribe, leave the comments. Let me know what you think. I'll see y'all next week. Same weed time. Same weed channel.